Hey, we're Saints. Father Chris here. Why are you laughing? We didn't even get to the opening. I'm here. Crazy people here with me, but we love them. Deacon Greg and our special guest returning, Aaron Tobias. Morning. Good to have the beautiful people with us.
Hello.
We started funny. All right. I'm going to get serious. I want to talk about something very, very serious. It's a heavy topic. It's a beautiful topic. It's what we're going to go after today, and I'm going to open it with an image of Samwise Gamgee as Rudy. All right, those who know. We're going to talk about perseverance, getting back up again, right? Samwise Gamgee from Frodo, right? Which is Lord of the Rings. They kept going. They fought through it. And then, of course, the same actor years before played Rudy. Great movie. Made me cry. I actually cried in 2 movies in my whole life, and E.T. was the other one. But Rudy, because he just kept going, and he finally had his moment, and he made a tackle, and I don't know, it was a beautiful movie. But, like, it was that persistence and that getting back up and that kind of stuff. And, you know, we're in Lent as we film this, which is a time where people are fasting, and very often many of us, myself included, sometimes don't have a perfect streak on our fasts. Anyways, ready? Yeah. Tell us about so Aaron, what sparked this in your mind?
Well, what sparked this in my mind is I was going through our website analytics, and I noticed that when we first started the Lenten Reading Challenge, we were like, there was about 200 people logging in consistently every single day to do the challenge. And then over time, it's whittled down. And now we're only about 1% of people logging in every day.
And so when we're filming this, we're like, I don't know the exact count, but maybe 20 days into Lent. Mm-hmm. So in 20 days.
In 20 days, it's dropped off that much. And when I look at my own behavior, I'm not perfect either.
Yeah.
So my thought is, it's not a matter of expecting perfection, but how do we get back up and start again in order to stick with our fast or stick with our reading challenge? What are some
So do we have any thoughts
strategies?
or insights on why setbacks happen? Why do we, because kind of, not to be too silly, but this is what happens with New Year's resolutions, right? And we all know the data that like some absurd number, 6% of all New Year's resolutions make it through the year. And most, again, I think it's like 80% like 88% are gone by February, right? So they don't even get it a month into it, right? Why do these setbacks happen? Do we have any thoughts or insights on that?
I was just gonna say, I think we're creatures of habit, and it's hard to make a habit.
Yeah.
It takes a little bit of time in order to align your neural pathways to want to even do that habit, because there's so much resistance. Usually we're thinking in a negative mindset. And so we have a lot of resistance for some reason to sometimes doing the thing that's best for us.
Yeah.
I also think that it's hard. And there's an old adage that when the going gets tough, the tough get going. But that doesn't apply to everyone. Not everyone is willing to push through. That's why, like, the cream of the crop is the only thing that will rise to the top in those scenarios, because it's hard. And when we face hard, we want to run the other way. Hard is difficult. Yeah. Difficult is not great. We've been fed an idea that whatever we know, whatever kills us makes us stronger, but inherently we've been taught that whatever kills us makes us weaker. That's not my idea. That comes from the 3 great untruths in The Coddling of the American Mind.
What doesn't kill us.
What doesn't kill us makes us weaker.
Right.
And that's not real. That's not what Scripture teaches us. That's not what the life of Christ teaches us. That's not what anything is throwing out at us. But it's because it's antithetical to how we want to do, because we are creatures of habits, but we also strive to find comfort.
Yeah.
We run. Like that book that you've been reading and talking about like the comfort, what's it called?
Comfort Crisis.
Comfort Crisis. I don't want to go and do what those guys are doing. I want to be comfortable.
Yeah. Well, that's in the biology of the brain too. We burn the most calories in our brain, right? And therefore the brain doesn't want to spend any effort thinking on things because we don't want to waste it. Like you're thinking about with our bygone ancestors. The other part of it is that we have striven towards comfort as preservative, right? Like you imagine the first, erect human beings, whatever they were called, Homo erectus or whatever, they were like running out in the woods. Then all of a sudden they're like, dude, it's raining. Let's build a shelter, right? And so, I mean, that wouldn't be called comfort by our standards, but the idea was to preserve and protect. And that's why we kind of default into comfort now. The other part, like you said, it's hard, and hard sucks, and we don't want to do hard because inherently we prefer comfort, and we're a little bit lazy, or a lot bit lazy. Anyways, that's just kind of a, you know.
Is there any like spiritual component to it, do you think? You know,
what do you mean by that?
Like when we are trying to do something difficult, when we're trying to live this crucifixional life, should we expect some sort of setback, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, totally. I mean, not to be too voodoo on it, but the devil is not wanting us to, you know, persevere and move forward in our, you know, striving to be crucifixional in our lives. I mean, you know, so, you know, I don't believe in the devil as a little fat dude in a red suit with, you know, horns and a pitchfork type of thing, but whatever he is, you know, definitely wants to lead us off the path. And so when we are, you know, when we are trying to get in shape by running every day, I don't think he cares. But when we try to live a crucifixional life, he's like, oh, this one wants to be like Christ. We better get after it, you know?
Yeah.
And
but you have to train yourself for that discomfort so that when those things happen, that's why in your book that is right there, you talk about getting comfortable being uncomfortable.
Right.
We have to train ourselves to be uncomfort.
Right.
So when that eventual discomfort comes, it doesn't become a setback. It doesn't throw us on the floor. And if it does throw us to the floor and we get knocked down, we get right back up again.
Yeah. That's the idea of perseverance, persistence, and all this kind of stuff. You know, we talk about the Lenten fast. Now you're talking, E, about the Lenten reading challenge and all that kind of stuff. And one of the, I think, you know, you talked about discouragement as the real danger in our script prep. And I think it is. But here's what I go even further about would say the real danger. It's thinking in terms of perfection. So like, here's kind of how my brain works. And I think it works, you know, like many other people's brains, that I want to start a streak, right? And so New Year's resolutions, Lent, you know, all that kind of stuff. This year, I printed out a calendar, just a blank calendar, and I wanted to do the, what's his name? Oh my gosh. Jerry Seinfeld streak. I put an X every day. I adhere to my fast. And I started out strong. And then all of a sudden there was like a blank hole. And I was like, darn it, you know? And we think in terms of like, once the streak is broken, it's over. So if you plan let's say a 10 phase project, and we want to go from X to Y, and Y being accomplishing the goal, success, and you get into it, and then all of a sudden we fumble or fall down, it's like, I threw up my hands, it's over. What I started to do was that I made step 4, falling down, so that it's not the end. It is a part of the process. Does that make sense? So in other words, like, I am anticipating that as a sinful and weak human being, I'm going to make mistakes. But rather than let the first mistake be the end, I just plan it in there. I write it in like, today I'm going to screw up, you know, and invariably I do. But with that, it gives me a little bit of hope, maybe, to get over that discouragement that you were talking about. Because like, I knew this was coming because I'm a sinner. I'm not God. I will make tons of mistakes, so that I don't have that temptation to quit. It leads me to that endurance and perseverance and so on. Anyways.
That makes me think of, it was about almost 50 days ago. So you had put out a challenge in one of your sermons that choose one sin and really attack it. And after 50 days, see where you are. Because the idea is every 100 days, you're going to start a new sin that you're going to focus on. And so last week was the 50-day marker. And what I'm just now having the aha moment about is that it's such great advice to have a midpoint to check in, because what that also does is it signals the fact that you're going to have to check in, because likely you're not going to be perfect, but that's a moment to reevaluate why am I getting knocked down? Where are my challenges in achieving X, Y, or Z?
Yeah. We've I also think, I'm kind of shifting gears here a little bit, but you know, there's the fear shame component, right? Like, I screwed up and I'm embarrassed about it and so on. And, you know, in many cultures, in mine, I'm Lebanese, and we got to be perfect. We know we're not, but we can't ever show imperfection out there in the world because shame and all that kind of stuff. And many shame cultures have that same kind of idea. I actually like failure. It stinks. It's not fun. We don't enjoy it, but I like it because that's where growth happens. That's where, real change occurs. It doesn't occur. Happiness, success, endurance, all these things, they occur on the other side of failure, right? I mean, you have to go through it because nobody goes through life unscathed, as they say. And I look for failure. I don't mean I go out there and say, oh my gosh, I'm going to totally try and fail. But I'm looking for it all the time because it means I'm pushing limits. I'm doing new things. I'm challenging myself. I'm trying things that I'd never done before or things I have not been successful at before. And let's go get some. And I get knocked down, often. But it's that endurance that we just have to keep going through all of it. That those are the moments where I found, oh, thank God, I'm a little bit different today than I was.
I find failure to be the greatest teacher.
Yeah.
I mean, in so many ways, to piggyback on what you're saying, like the things that I have been unsuccessful at have taught me far more than any book I've ever read.
Yeah.
Right? You learn how to attack things from different angles. You find ways to be creative. And in that creativity, real learning happens because you've got a nut that you're trying to crack, and it gives you an opportunity to actually figure out how to crack the nut. And it might not be the way that you're thinking. And if you just keep trying the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, and it's still not working, then you got to try something different.
Yeah,
and you got to find a new way to attack it. And that's where the learning happens.
Yeah. And it's a reframe of the mind, right? You have to start thinking differently and let this whole perfect streak business go. Yeah. And that, not to be cliche, but it's the journey versus the destination. And, but it's, I don't know. You learn so much, like you said, when you make a mistake. There's a legend that, they say that Edison took 10,000 iterations to make the light bulb. They even said that he tried, for his assistants, he would pluck hairs out of their beards to use it as the filament. I don't know, but it's just a great story. But eventually on, try 10,000, he got it. And he said, I didn't find 10,000 ways to fail. I found 10,000 ways that didn't work, right? Like, so basically he was saying, I'm on it. I'm pursuing it. Edison, look, everyone, sorry, I'm totally off, but everyone gets on his case because of Nikola Tesla and he stole, but screw that. Edison was relentless, right? And he did say, I'm not the smartest dude. I just show up every day. And he was just there when it was available and he found it, but it was that relentless pursuit that really is his greatest gift, right? Anyways.
And I feel like the Orthodox faith teaches that endurance so well, and not just to rely on our own strength, but learn how to rely on the Lord in order to get through, learn to rely on Scripture. Yeah. And I think one of the fallacies is that you can do it all. We think we can do it all on our own, or if the world tells us you can do it on your own if you just try harder. And often I find that's not true.
Yeah. In our the Warrior Saints Academy, we have the 6-part battle plan, right, that we put up there, which goes through this kind of stuff and helps us with our endurance and looking at the world and the suffering that we're going to face from the proper perspective. And it's not terrible, woe is me. It's like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. If you want to look at it like that. Yeah. And we know from St. Paul in Romans, right, chapter 5. That great saying, for suffering produces endurance. Endurance leads to character. Character to hope. Hope does not disappoint. I mean, like, he was talking more, suffering than you and we all face. I mean, these guys were martyrs for the faith. And so they were under constant threat from persecution. And so thank God we don't have that today. But I mean, the point still holds, right? Like, you're going to fall down. Get back up, bro. Keep going,
And talk about the reframe that you just throughout from Romans. He says we rejoice in our suffering. Mm-hmm. It's not just that we suffer and we know it's coming. We rejoice in it. He's completely flipped the script. Yep. And it's because suffering does all of those things. And so I almost wonder sometimes, is the Lenten fast and all that comes with it designed in a way that we will break our streak, because in that breaking of the streak, we're then able to move forward and keep doing all of that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I think.
I have no evidence, but
no,
I mean,
just
that's just.
Yeah. I mean, it's tempting. The whole time is tempting, and it gets harder and harder, and I think it is, but even if it isn't, I don't care. The point is, what do you do with it? What happens? What do you do? As we're throwing scripture out there, let's talk about something that is not necessarily scriptural. In fact, it's not in the Bible, but our Roman Catholic brothers and sisters in their church, they have a tradition. They have, in the church, the I think 18, whatever it is, numbers of the Stations of the Cross around the church, and it's just detailing, Christ's passion. And a couple of them, two of them, are where Jesus falls down and gets back up. And like I said, this is not in Scripture, so there's no biblical evidence for it, but it's in their tradition. Whether it happened or not, I don't care. I like the idea that they're putting out there that the Lord was suffering. I mean, you and I talk about our suffering. That was work, and yet he did not capitulate. When he fell, he could have just wiped his hands of it all and said, no. He kept going. And his victory was not anything that we're talking about. He saved mankind, right? So, it was obviously worth it. And that you can see that constant endurance, it leads to victory at one way or the other. Do you have that James text, Deacon Greg? What does that say? You have to endure through all the trials, or what does it say? Blessed is the man.
Yeah. Blessed is the man who endures trial, for when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life which God has promised to those who love him.
Yeah, I mean, he's talking about, these guys, again, in the early church, they're facing sufferings that you and I in this world don't. But the point still holds, that you endure through these trials and this suffering, and the reward in this life could be material blessings or status blessings, whatever, which are all good. But the real one that when you level up is life eternal, by enduring to the end, which we hear in Mark, we hear in Revelation, and all over the place. So what do you do after you fall down?
Get back up. I think if you're expecting to fall, then you have a game plan in terms of how to deal with it. And I think the first thing is just to start again and not spend time wallowing or feeling sorry or shaming yourself, but instead just to move forward and just get right back on it. With the fast, we talked about, okay, the next meal, just don't just sit there and say, well, my fast is over, I guess I'm just going to quit now.
Right.
The next meal, make it
get back
fast friendly.
But something that you just hit on is it's not even what do you do when you fall. It happens before you even fall. Assume that is going to happen so that you have a game plan, so that when it comes, you're ready, i.e. you put it into your plan that the streak will break. You have to be prepared, because if you go down and you're not ready, it's not going to work. You're not going to be able to get back up. But if you plan for how you're going to get back up, then when you fall, you're able to get back up quite easy.
When the hit goes down, you have to be ready.
You have to.
Absolutely. I'm with you on that one too. I was thinking about something else. So about fasting that Aaron said, even in the Orthodox monastic tradition, there's a saying that I can't cite because I don't remember well, but that the real fast begins after the first fall.
Interesting.
So they're saying basically don't get all prideful. Look at me, I've fasted for 12 days straight. I'm so good and I'm holy and all that stuff. And then you tumble and you're like, oh, he's like, no. That's the moment, baby. That's when it starts. What do you do? And I guess I would say this, that, the idea of the crucifixional life, that is the foundation upon which we build our teaching, that Jesus Christ's life is the exact model that we have to emulate in our life. It's ruthless, relentless, and ruthless in the sense of over ourselves, not submitting to comfort, not submitting to these, really, because when you quit on it, and I'm talking to myself, but when you have a streak going and fasting, reading, whatever, and you quit, it's arrogance that you break. Dude, get back up, right? I mean, you just have to be relentlessly and ruthlessly pursuing your goal. And there is nobody lost weight when we're on the diet in one day. It takes a long time, right? It's a lot of effort. Nobody's, gets big muscles without lifting every day or, on the plan. Nobody learned a language in one day, right? I mean, it's just, you get it, but it's on and on. It's just it's a continual pursuit, and anticipate that the falls will be there, plan for them, have a built-in plan for it, and then just get it and quit whining about it. That's the thing that bugs me the most, like from myself, but from others too, right? I'm whining about, anyways, rant over. Sorry.
Yeah, great stuff.
Great stuff. All right.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
No, thank you all. Love you, beautiful people. We'll be back as we always are at 9 and 10 a.m. on Sunday, Mountain Standard Time. No, Pacific Standard Time, Pacific Daylight Time, which is Arizona time. Time.gov, baby. Anyways, we'll be back for Orthodox and Liturgy. Love you. We'll be back again with some more teachings. As always, keep walking on the way of the warrior saint.